Ready?
Yep.
Awesome, man. Bryan Black, how you doing?
What's up, dude?
Thank you so much for being here. I don't know if you had a chance to check out any of these episodes before, because we kind of did this last minute. We scheduled it, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you haven't, I'd love to know, what were you like in high school?
Shit, that's.
I know. I should have.
Just right into it. Oh shit. Okay. Well, right off the bat, dude, I was just a surfer skater kid. I wasn't very like scholarly or school driven. I was just I just wanted to do whatever made me happy. But I would always do enough to meet the criteria and not flunk out. So I could get things done, but on my terms.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just hung out with the surfers and skaters my whole life.
You still surf and skate a lot?
As much as humanly possible.
Wow. I think I've seen some videos of you online, at least skateboarding.
Yeah, don't judge me. It's terrible now because I'm 36, so I'm not skating as I did as a kid. But I still do like to ride around. I still like to fuck around on a mini ramp. But yeah, not as I'm not doing the same shit I was as a kid.
Yeah. In terms of like skateboarding tricks.
Yeah, I'm not hucking myself downstairs.
No, that's crazy. Did you
Yeah.
ever try like the El Toro stairs or anything like that?
That's
too big, right?
so gnarly.
Yeah.
That's so gnarly.
Did you grow up around here?
Southern California, Orange County, my whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
What part?
My dad's place is in Santa Ana, and then my mom was in Fountain Valley. And then I served Huntington and Newport my whole life, so just all of Orange County. And then the majority of my 20s all in Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
So just all of it.
That's funny. I didn't realize that we were similar in age. So now it's like when I say like the El Toro stairs, it's like probably thinking like Chad Muska, like those guys back then, right?
Crushing that,
Dang.
doing the best tricks ever.
Remember Osiris's?
Yeah, the D3s, that's what everyone wanted. and you could, it was so hard to compartmentalize in my brain why anyone wanted that, because it was the clunkiest shoe ever to skate in. And I was like, why would you want that?
But that was the thing back then. It was like you had the thickest shoes possible, and they weren't even cool if you didn't have like a pot pocket. Remember
I
that?
know. Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
I
And then
remember
like you'd tear out, I don't know about when maybe you were in middle school or high school doing this, but like you'd tear out the tongue and then put it behind the tongue of your own shoes, not lace them, and then try to skateboard.
Get puffier.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
And now I'm just trying to now you see like the Nike SB, like
Those are honestly so functional to skate in. I think for myself, like they're comfy and they're light, and they're a little bit more durable than like the average shoe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those shoes are really nice. I do like them.
Tell me a little bit about your friend group back then.
My best friend growing up, his name is Kyle. I did everything with him, literally everything. We worked at the same surf shop, went to the same high school, ditched school all the time to surf the same breaks together. We're on the surf team together. We literally did everything together. But what was wild was he was Mormon, like practicing Mormon. So I grew up around his family. So I went to all that Mormon stuff. I did seminary with him.
Really?
Yeah, well, just because it was a good opportunity to hang out with my friend. He's like, yeah, we can hang out, but I got to do this. I'd be like, all right, fuck it, whatever, you know? So it was cool. So I got to be exposed to his faith, which is cool. And then what else did we do? There's like Mormon dances.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, sure, why not? You know what I mean? So I did everything with him.
What is a Mormon dance like?
I mean, honestly, just a fucking dance function that's thrown and housed in a church where the chaperones are Mormon.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
So like in Rancho Santa Margarita, I went to some of the high school dances. It was a Catholic school.
Yeah.
And I mean this with like all the respect in the world, but even the students were like, yeah, you have to leave room for the Holy Spirit in between you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you're not like grinding up on each other, especially when like Usher was coming out with like some of those biggest bangers back then. Like you had to just, separate.
Honestly, when I was younger, girls were like the least of my worries or thoughts. I was so obsessed over just skating and surfing. I could care less.
Really?
Obviously, they're hot or they're pretty to me. I'm attracted to them, but I just, that's cool. But the waves are really good right now. Because waves aren't good every day.
Yeah.
As a surfer, you think about that. You like check the cams and all that shit, and it's just like, fuck, the waves are good. I gotta go.
Wow.
So my priorities were really different, and I feel like my chick told me this the other day. I'm really like task oriented, and I have to have horse blinders on. I don't know if I actually have ADD or not, but I've like flirted with the idea of me having it, but I have to like hone in on what I'm doing. I can't be distracted like even a little bit. You know what I mean? So maybe that was why too. But that was my best friend growing up, and then outside of that, all my other friends, they all either surfed or skated.
Yeah.
I try to keep my circle with the same mindset and same interests, just because I think it kind of just helps propel you in the direction you want to go in, right?
Yeah, I think that's really true.
Yeah.
So now, would you say that it's like maybe a lot of tattoo artists, still a lot of surfers and skaters, I guess, and a little bit of boxing, as I know.
I know, right? To be honest, if I were to describe the core group of friends I have now, they're just solid human beings.
Yeah.
They're either really good dads, really good mothers, just really nice, helpful people that think of opportunities and how they can be of service to others.
Yeah.
And that's my honest answer right now. My core group of friends are like that. And it just so happens that they all excel at what they do.
Nice.
Like they crush it at what they do. So it's just like, fuck, dude. I mean, you are the average of your friends. So hang around long enough, maybe I'll get there too,
100%.
So that's the idea. But I'm super thankful for my close friends and family.
So when you were growing up then, my skater friends, I never surfed, grew up here my whole life. I've never even touched a surfboard.
That's so crazy.
But I've skated a lot back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like, I don't know. I was getting into a lot of trouble being in that crowd, that type of thing. What was that experience like for you?
Growing up skating and surfing, it was the best. It probably saved me from getting into trouble. I mean, in high school, you're going to be subjected to multiple groups, and it's pretty easy to fall into groups that are getting into more trouble than not. But dude, I'm so obsessed with what I do, and if I'm so obsessed with skating, I'm probably not going to go, I don't know, get into random fights.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Or just get into shit. Like, I mean, granted, I have definitely done a lot of stealing in my life.
Really?
Yeah, dude, when I was younger, I would steal so much. But I understand now as an adult that is aware of my actions and repercussions and how it may affect other people. I understand that is wrong. But as a child, you don't know everything.
Yeah.
Right? And I still don't know everything. But looking back, yeah, dude, I would do terrible things that if I had a kid, I'd be like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But so I was no angel by any means. But I think skating and surfing pretty much occupied my time. So I stayed out of trouble for the most part.
Do you ever get caught stealing?
I have, but it was so fucked up. I got caught. Okay, so I didn't tell my friend I was stealing. So
great.
Yeah. So we went to.
Is this Kyle?
No, it wasn't Kyle. It was my other friend.
Kyle.
I know. It was my other
He's
friend.
all coming out of seminary getting busted.
I know. It was so fucked up. But I'll make the story quick. We went into a store. I wanted a shirt. Put the shirt on. Tucked it into my pants so it didn't hang out. And when we walked out, it beeped. But the only reason why I took it was because there wasn't a sensor on it. And I was like, oh, score. But it beeped, and they're like, well, lift up your shirt. Let's see if you guys took anything. And I was like, fuck, dude. Well, okay, we got to roll with the punches. Lifted up my shirt and just gave them a dead stare. And they're like, oh, okay, well, all right. Well, maybe it's your cell phones. And I was just like, oh, my God, dude. I'm just like, and then they let us go. And I was like, my friend looked at me like, you little fucking idiot. Like, he was an older friend, too. He's like, I'm so fucking mad at you right now.
Yeah.
And it was a nice it was a gentle reality check from the universe, like, hey, dude, you're not as slick as you think you are.
Yeah.
I'm watching you. Let's not do things in excess.
But you probably did it again anyway.
Most likely, yeah. Later in life, yeah, definitely, probably.
It must have had one of those stickers that were.
It was exactly that. It was a sticker, and I found it later. And you know what was fucked up is I believe in karma and I believe in energy so much that it was such a negative experience getting caught. I didn't even want to wear the shirt.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, fuck this, dude. So I was just like, yeah, it was a lesson. It was a good lesson.
Wow, that's so funny, dude. Like, I wonder if it was just like the audacity that because if you were getting caught, I would venture to say like, most people would be like, oh, I'm not going to lift my shirt. Or the extreme of that is
run.
To go off, run.
Fight or flight. Yeah, I mean,
I just like, nah.
definitely thought about it, like run, but I was just like, I mean, well, what happens with compliance? Let's see what happens. And I mean, it worked, but yeah, I do not advocate stealing by any means. No. But yeah, that was fucked up.
When did you get your first tattoo?
18.
Yeah, what was it?
I got drug free and then 3 X's underneath it. I grew up around all these older dudes that were listening to straight edge music, and all that stuff, and I was super influenced by that. And then remember my friend Kyle, my best friend, he was Mormon, so he didn't do drugs and he didn't drink. And then, so I naturally, I mean, I was raised Catholic and Buddhist at the same time, so I had this natural like tendency to not want to abuse any substances. So I didn't do any of that either. And so in my brain, it just made sense. You're hanging out with these older dudes that like you, and they're all straight edge. Well, you're technically straight edge by definition. So yeah, let's do this. But it was my first introduction into tattooing as well. So it like if all those didn't take place, I probably wouldn't have become a tattooer.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is fucking crazy.
That is really crazy to think about, actually. You know, you say Huntington Beach, where, you know, you probably graduated 05, 06.
Yeah.
So all of those bands, Bleeding Through, Avenged was Avenged.
Yeah.
was
So you know, I don't even have to explain those bands.
100%.
Yes. Okay. Cool. You get it.
My first tattoo was like AFI on my shoulder.
Okay. Cool.
You know
I snuck
so,
into an AFI concert. I told my girlfriend that story the other day
more
at
stealing.
UCI. They played with Tiger Army
and Avenged Sevenfold that time.
I believe so.
Yeah, that was like in 2007. I was at
I
that
snuck into that show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Funny story. I almost got my first tattoo was almost XXX.
Really?
Never ends.
Shut up.
Swear to Buddha. And
wow.
And it was in my friend's garage. He had it all drawn out and everything, and then this girl pops in, and you know, he wanted to tattoo the girl first. And so she started getting a tattoo. She starts wailing.
Of course.
And I was just like, never mind. And so I decided not to get it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a blessing. Like, I'm not straight edge, and maybe would have regretted that tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, even now, it's like I have my AFI tattoo. That's the only one I'm not like super stoked on. And so I don't know, but we would have had matching tattoos.
That would have been so crazy. I even just
like
love
the
that you.
Same year.
The thought of you even possibly getting it blows my mind right now, because then it tells me about my theories about the universe. Like, damn, I think we all come from like maybe like a specific source, and maybe we're all that connected. Like, that's pretty connected, bro.
Well, I mean, I think that's pretty connected.
Or a crazy coincidence, but it'll help me sleep better at night saying that we're that connected. That's crazy.
I think so. I mean, we're here, and then if you think, but I do believe that, first of all, but I also think it's like, well, okay, cool. You were a skater in like the early 2000s who grew up in Orange County. Like, we have the same playlist on
that is true.
You know what I mean?
That is very true.
On all our things, you have AFI, you have Atreyu, you probably listen to Thrice 2, you probably listen to Bleeding Through, Throwdown, 18 Visions, like all these people, like
a lot of angry music.
Yeah, a lot of. Well, what's weird is like I had this epiphany the other day, and I was like, what was the difference between punk and emo music? Punk music was usually against the establishment, and emo music was pretty much about your feelings, but it was all kind of the same music, just different like tones. That's my theory.
I mean, that's a great theory.
Yeah. And all these guys like Brandon Chapetti writing, like you read his lyrics, yeah, sure, he's like throat screaming, they're all moshing and throwing fists at each other, but he's like, the rose in my eye, you are the beautiful of my life, like all this. I'm like, this is the cheesiest, corniest stuff I've ever heard.
But you know what it is it's the way that he's delivering it is a language that those people who love it can understand, and will accept those lyrics, which is cool.
So you get your first tattoo at 18. You get straight. Are you still straight edge?
I mean, I'm sober.
Yeah.
So I did start drinking. I did start doing drugs. But no, I think it's. I've heard stories. I mean, I'm still super close friends with my friends that are still straight edge, but I think it's kind of weird when someone's straight edge and they break edge and then claim again.
Yeah.
That's like reclaiming your virginity. It's kind of odd to me.
Wow.
Can you do that? I mean, whether or not you can or not, people do. And to me, it's weird. Now, I have drank, I have done drugs, I have fucked around, but as of right now, I am consciously sober. So I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
And nor do I criticize anyone who does. I'm like, to each their own. But for me, I think my quality of life is just drastically better when I'm more level-headed and more aware of my thoughts and feelings.
Was there something that got you to like, was there a moment where you're like, this isn't working for me anymore, and you decided to stop, or was it a gradual like, It
wasn't like one of the wheels fell off. It was just more like, I just did some internalizing and reflecting and just said, well, what are your goals? And all my goals, drinking and partying and staying up late, did not benefit it at all.
Yeah.
Right? So I just said, well, why the fuck are you doing it? And in reality, I even still to this day, I want to make up reasons as to it's for networking. It's networking. And no, bro, it ain't. It ain't. Partying ain't networking, or at least for me, because it ends up being like superficial talk and superficial like conversations around drinking and reasons to drink. So for me, it just doesn't work. And I don't think relationships built around that are as meaningful in my life. So I just didn't need it. And I said to myself, well, if I ever decide to drink and party again, it's always there.
Yeah.
So why not try being sober and see where that takes me?
Yeah.
And it's taken me to being pretty honest with myself, which I think is pretty important, which is nice.
How so?
Oh, man, you have to feel all your feelings when you're sober. You feel everything. When you're scared, you're fucking scared. When you're nervous, you're fucking nervous. And I think it's really important to be honest with yourself first and foremost, because then after that, you can at least be honest with others. Because you can't be honest with others without being honest with yourself first, I think, or at least for me.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Like I just went down so many like different rabbit holes with that as you were asking that question. Cause I'm like, well, the first thing is like, what are the goals that you wanted to accomplish that got you to be like, all right, well, this is not serving me at all. Like,
I mean, first and foremost, my goal would be to be as close to the universe and my higher power as humanly possible. That is first and foremost. Second is just to be a better tattooer than I was yesterday. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't have to fucking knock it out the park. I just want to be a little better. Just a little. And then be able to harbor meaningful relationships and being accountable for how I leave others and the way that they feel in my relationships. I feel like when I drank and did all that stuff, I took all my relationships for granted, whether they be romantic or not. And I think being sober really, if you get in an argument with someone, it's a real argument. You can't blame alcohol, you know? And when you're having a really amazing time with someone, it's a real, true, genuine time that you guys share, which I go, fuck, that was real. That's cool. It's not because we're drinking. It's not because we're in a bathroom doing lines. It's because we genuinely appreciated our conversation in that space. And I like that. I think that's cool. And I think that's special.
Wow. I'm just reflecting on that a little bit. I've toyed around with like not doing anything.
Yeah.
I enjoy beers, tequila, those types of things. Like now, I mean, you see me at the gym like every morning, like it kind of doesn't align to do all of those things. To your point, it's like, well, if I know that I have to go like train in the morning, like I probably am not going to drink all night, like that sort of thing. But I've really considered like, what if I just cut all this stuff off? Like what level can I get to? What level can I get to and what potential have I not tapped into because I have maybe like this little layer that might be like holding me back type of thing from like complete clarity, and even just like from a health, like a physical health perspective, like, you know what I mean? How much is this really holding me back? And I haven't like committed to that, but I'm just, it's interesting to hear that perspective, especially from, typically a lot of times there's a story of, got my 4th DUI and like this happened and I lost this and I lost that. And you're like, no, I just, my life wasn't optimized yet. Perhaps maybe you didn't feel as happy as you could have. I don't know what that would have been like for you. How long has it been now?
How long I've been sober?
Yeah.
Last I checked was the other day, 1 year and 5 months.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
dang.
Yeah, it's a long time for me.
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference. Before this, I was sober. I did it for like 2 years and a half, or pretty close, getting close to 3 years. But the difference is, I did it with what they call as white knuckling it, just horse blinders on, just saying no, and just not being around it. But the difference now of me being sober is actually doing internal work, actually asking myself questions as to why I want to drink. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. Anyone can white knuckle it. You can white knuckle it for a really long fucking time. But if you don't choose to do the internal work, you'll want to go back to it. And then by saying internal work, the spiritual aspect of it too.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, a year and 5 months seems like a very long time, because I say this as humbly as possible. Every day it is a battle. I have to choose not to drink, you know. And some days are easier than others. And that does sound really drastic, even me just hearing it right now. Like, oh my God, it's a battle every day. Jesus, do you have a problem? It's more just like, I don't know, dude. Yeah, you have to feel all your feelings. And some days you don't have good days.
Yeah.
Some days you feel everything and things come up. And those are the hardest days. Because, fuck, when I'm having a hard day, I just go, I would love to just sit in the corner at a bar and just sip on whiskey and just chain smoke. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
To just not care about anything for a little bit sounds really great.
Yeah.
But choosing to care is the ultimate sacrifice.
Whoa. That was awesome.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now when I take a look back as to like when we met, it was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That well, I don't know if that's when you started, but I started at least noticing you at the gym that we both go to.
Yeah.
Was, taking up boxing part of this thing for you of like choosing to be sober and elevating your life, like that sort of thing?
No, I just did it because I heard about Anthony and I heard he's fucking awesome. And Tim goes to him, who's one of my best friends. So I've heard nothing but great things. But also when I was younger, I did a lot of stuff. I did Muay Thai, I did karate, I did Jeet Kune Do, I did all that stuff. So honestly, I'm just trying to not rust. Yeah. I'm getting old, dude.
I feel that.
And
man.
I hate to admit it. I really do. But dude, my body hurts. And what's that saying? If you rest, you rust. And I don't want to rust. I want to keep up. And I want to be able to hang out with my nephew and fuck around with him, So that's the only reason why I do it. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your like tattooing career. When did you just decide that this was the route that you wanted to go?
During my first tattoo.
Really?
As I was getting tattooed and dying, getting slaughtered.
At 18 years old?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, actually, you're right.
You got a stomach tattoo.
Yeah.
I won't even mess with that because I heard it was awful.
I wanted a tattoo probably right around 16 or 17 because I was hearing about all my older friends that were of age getting tattooed already. So I already kind of entertained that idea, and I would draw and do this stuff and just like do little things, but it didn't really get like solidified and like, okay, we're committing, until I actually got my first tattoo. And when I got my first tattoo, in the middle of a tattoo, I asked Tim, who did my first tattoo, I was like, hey, do you think someone can learn how to draw? And he said yes. And if he didn't say yes, I probably would have been like, okay, cool, well, I'll just do something else. But the fact that he said yes, I was like, oh, well, he said yes. It's a no-brainer. Yes, I can learn. And I went right home and I just started drawing harder, longer, and just focused as hard as humanly possible because I needed to know how to draw like yesterday. You know what I mean? Because I'm not really like, honestly, it sounds weird, but I'm not really like art driven. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I can look at a piece of art and be like, that's fucking beautiful. I can't believe you conceptualize that. That's so fucking cool. But to me, the only reason why I draw is so I could do a cool tattoo. I'm in love and infatuated with tattoos because of how extreme it is. You have no rooms for mistake. It's all or nothing. Yeah. You either pull it off or you don't, and everyone sees that you didn't. But then on top of it, it's a delicate dance that you have to do with your client to where I can only do as good of a job as you will allow me. So we got to go through this together. We synchronize our breathing. We do all this stuff. You trust me. I trust you. And hopefully we meet on the end, on the other side. So it's so extreme that I love it. And that's probably why. But the only reason why I draw is because I want to do cooler tattoos.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting concept because I would have never thought that somebody can just learn to draw.
I know. Until I asked him.
That sounds like really basic. But it's like, I feel like, okay, I could learn to draw maybe certain things.
Yeah.
But I would assume that a lot of that is just like inherent talent.
I mean, you box, so you've heard this. Hard work beats talent all the time.
But the thing is, like, so for boxing, like, and again, like, you're obviously proving me wrong. I've seen a lot of your work on your page, on the show, things like that. But I'm like, I also believe that I'm like physically talented to not, not like I'm awesome, but it's like some people,
But you're
don't
more
have,
athletic.
yeah, more
Yes,
athletic. Some
yes,
people
yes.
don't have rhythm, those types of things. Like,
True.
so, but to think that, we think of like an art and people are like, oh, I guess somebody could learn to play guitar and like those types of things. So maybe there is a little bit of that, but are you saying that before that, like you just like couldn't draw?
I mean, I was a really good doodler, but no, I wouldn't. Yeah, if anyone saw my drawings, they'd be like, okay, whatever. He just drew all over his social studies homework. Like, it wouldn't. No one would bat an eyelash at it.
Do you ever think about like the power of yes in that way?
Oh, absolutely, dude. Okay, check this out. So when I was younger, I was super obsessed with skating, and I was skating in the backyard, and I would come in for a break and have some water. And on TV, there was a commercial, and it was Oprah. No matter how anyone feels about Oprah, whatever, but this is the facts. It was a commercial with Oprah, and all I remember is she talks about how it doesn't matter about how talented you are. It matters about your social group and who believes in you. That resonates more of how far you will go in life. And dude, I don't know why, but that struck a chord with me. And ever since then, if someone said something that didn't align with my beliefs, I kind of just didn't I would do my best to not allow it to absorb into my subconscious, because there are plenty of people that have self-doubt within themselves, and that's fine. It's okay. It's very human, but it's not very fair to bleed your self-doubt on others that still believe in dreaming. Oof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was thankful enough to hear that commercial as a kid, and anytime someone said, I can't do that, you can't do that, I'd be like, fuck off, bro. Boop. And you know what I mean? And then I would look for and scan the room for whoever did believe in that or did do that, and then just sit next to their presence and be like, how'd you do it?
Wow. Where have you seen, so you're just sitting next to people, how'd you do it? Like, where have you like kind of implemented this like strategy outside of tattooing?
Of what?
Like sitting next to somebody who has accomplished something that you've done, that you wanted to do maybe, or just believed in self, and like kind of have that help you get to the next level.
Outside of tattooing?
Yeah. Or are you just so obsessed with tattooing? Like that's just the thing.
Oh man, I'm so obsessed with tattooing. I mean, I guess in surfing,
Yeah.
As a kid, you surf with good people. I mean, the bar is raised, so then your level of normalcy is going to be that much higher than people that aren't as advanced.
Yeah.
Just like boxing, right? Like you're only going to get as good as your group. I would always hang out with people that blew me out of the water. Actually, that's kind of like my life, like blueprint. Like I always try to be the dumbest, the slowest, and the weakest in the room, because that's where you're going to grow the most. Right. And then there will be one day where I might be a little bit stronger than someone else in a certain area, and that's when I get to give back. But as of right now, like I'm not the strongest in the room by any means in anything. I sit, I absorb, and I try to be as thankful as humanly possible in everything that I do.
Wow, man, that's really inspiring. How many podcasts have you done?
I did one via Zoom the other day, but this is my like first real. That's why I was like, "What's up with these mics?" Like I'm all excited to see.
In my
this.
head, I'm like, it's like you're trained to do this stuff already. It's so
yeah,
good.
no.
Sorry, I just geeked a little bit, but like some of that stuff is just so heavy hitting. I haven't heard a lot of people like with that mindset in a long time, and or more so like articulate that, because I have a lot of the same beliefs in who you surround yourself with, the way that you talk to yourself, like that sort of thing, you know what I mean? And as you said, you're only going to rise as high as your surroundings type of thing. So constantly, on a pursuit to find people who have accomplished a little bit more, who do a little bit better, like those sorts of things, just so I can push myself in those places. So, kind of sitting here with you and hearing that stuff is kind of, it's really affirming, and it's just great to be surrounded by people with that mindset. So it's cool. Yeah. So one thing that I found pretty interesting, I brought up to you a couple times now, is that you've mentioned that you're not religious, you're spiritual. Mm-hmm. You're saying how, your number one goal is to get more aligned with the universe and your higher power. And I love how you phrase it. Like, I hit the knees in the morning and at night. I love that. I love that so much. I also grew up, I grew up Catholic and a little bit of Buddhist, but mainly like Hindu Jain, because my dad's side of the family is Indian, and so I kind of there's a lot of different religions, like in my
Yeah.
household, I guess you could say. I'd love to learn a little bit, like, what was that kind of upbringing for you, and kind of your perspective, on your own faith, on your higher power, like that sort of thing, and how do you practice on a daily basis? That was a lot of questions.
No, yeah. I'm gonna try to hit them all. So yes, I grew up Catholic and Buddhist at the same time, which I think was really hard, and there were definitely a lot of growing pains within that household. But I think it was just for the best in the long run, because it exposed me to all the beautiful things that both sides had to offer. Right? I do believe in karma. I do believe in all that, and I do believe in energy and all that. But what's nice about Catholicism is just it's romantic. It's pretty. The idea of the Virgin Mary is fucking cool. You're telling me that she had this baby while being a virgin and it's Jesus? That's pretty fucking cool. That's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah.
And the idea that someone died and sacrificed themselves for all of our sins, that's romantic, and that is cool to me. So I can appreciate most, if not all, religions. You know what I mean? But for me, on a daily basis of how I practice my spirituality, when I say I hit my knees in the morning and at night, it's not metaphorically. I physically do it. I think to me, it makes sense to absolutely surrender to my higher power, whoever's listening. And I think hitting your knees is a physical surrender and praise. How I pray, I don't know. I used to do like a wish list of things, you know, like as a kid.
You mean that's not how you do it?
Yeah, I know. It's so fucked up, but it's so like counterproductive. But I didn't make that realization as to maybe like a month ago. But I stopped doing a wish list, and I just go, how can I be of service, and please help me be of service to those that are in need. And thank you for everything so far, and for all the things to come. And that's it. And then I tried to live my life in accordance to how I would want to be treated. I try to just strip things down to the bare minimum. I got to be really simple. I can't make things too complicated for myself. But yeah, that's pretty much how I practice. Other than that, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, nothing too crazy.
Well, I mean, I feel like at the foundation of a lot of things, even for me, like studying this quite a bit, a lot of it does boil down as like, well, Jesus died for our sins, but at the end of the day, treat others like you want to be treated and help out those who need.
Totally.
And if you can do those two things, the rest of it kind of like works itself out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's always interesting to me meeting somebody who is, spiritual or whatever it is. And it's like, well, the core values are kind of the same, in a lot of ways. We might have different beliefs and different ways that we go about it, but the core values are the same. And I think that that's kind of like what's most important there.
Yeah.
So you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I actually wanted to talk to you about is really like, let me start with this. One of my beliefs is that the best relationships are formed over common values and goals, and not necessarily history or time. And so common values and goals, like my values and goals could potentially change over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if somebody that was in my life 10 years ago, like that sort of thing, and I don't have those same values or the same goals, let's say, because my values really haven't changed that much. But if they don't have those same goals, then perhaps like we won't have that great of a relationship, or there isn't a lot of reasons for us to hang out anymore. And that's something that my wife and I have, found a lot of peace in, is the fact that we do have common values. We do have common goals. And when we recognize that and work toward the same thing, our relationship is great. I don't know anything really about your relationship other than what I've seen on Instagram, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are and perspectives are on having a successful relationship, especially like in an industry, I would say, where you're meeting so many people. Some partners might become jealous, some partners might become insecure, like that sort of thing. So
Totally.
Like, how do you handle all of these things? How do you like keep the household happy?
Fucking pray and you hope for the best, and you try to be as
done.
And yeah, I know. And honestly, the level of transparency will help dictate where your relationship will go. Because I think it's really important to be able to say, hey man, this isn't working out. How do we recalibrate so we meet each other on the other side and still on the same team? Or, hey, this is awesome and this is working. Let's continue doing this. I think constantly having an open line of communication with your partner is crucial. I say a lot of mean, hurtful things to my girlfriend. Not intentionally to hurt her feelings, but it's just honest. And it's just like, hey, honey, when you did this, this is how it made me feel. I'm not telling you this because I want to make you feel bad. I'm telling you this because I want to help us navigate how it could have been done differently. Or she keeps it real with me. She's like, you're just being sensitive, or you're just hungry. You know what I mean? So, but the fact that we're talking about it, it doesn't fester, and you don't blow up on each other. And I think that's what's fair.
Was that your, sorry to interrupt you there, but is that your version of something that's mean and hurtful, is identifying what hurt you to that person? Because you started that with, yes. I say a lot of mean and hurtful things. Yeah.
I probably just said that for shock value, but sometimes I'll be like really blunt about like the way in my delivery, it's very blunt. And then I'll even have to say, I'm sorry that I said it like that. I meant this, but my delivery was very brash and harsh. Yeah. I'm not attacking you. I'm just letting you know. Yeah. So it comes off harsh sometimes. Got it. And I get that, and I can admit that. Yeah. But I'm working on that. But I think just on my end, just being as transparent as humanly possible, and knowing that she's human as well. Mm-hmm. And she's going through her thing. She's the main character in her movie. It ain't just about me. Yeah. She's got goals. She's got dreams. She's got aspirations. And I can only do my best to support her in her endeavors as well. Yeah. And I think that's important too.
Outside of like identifying issues and that, like, so that they don't fester, that sort of thing, how else does like transparency show up in your relationship?
Just honestly, just vocalizing how you feel a lot. I think with me and my past relationships or anything, I have a tendency to just shut down. Just like if I'm not in the mood to talk and we're arguing, I will just shut down because I don't want to waste my energy or time. But shutting down does not solve the issue. All it does is just file it away for later. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we're pretty good about just talking and being transparent about everything. It doesn't even mean that you only talk about things that are bothering you. Talking about your wins and victory are just as important. Like, thank you so much for like doing okay, so what she does is she'll leave little notes randomly everywhere for me to find. Like, I found one on a piece of candy that I had, or like I found one on my banana that I took to work. You know what I mean? So she puts in so much effort, and I'm so thankful for that, where it's just like, it makes me want to stoke her out even more, you know? So I feel like we're constantly still flirting with each other. Yeah. And I think that's important.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. I love hearing it. So you were recently a contestant on Ink Master. Yeah. How was that experience for you? I know that, we were talking a little bit about maybe your mindset going into it. You weren't necessarily going after the prize or anything like that, but I think that's an interesting take because, you watch these interviews and they're so focused on like the title, they're so focused on the money, like that sort of thing. That didn't seem to really faze you.
Yeah. So my whole mindset, even going into this competition, is I was approached twice, and I believe in the universe, and I believe that if the universe knocks twice, fucking just answer, dude. You know what I mean? What's the worst that can happen? Just answer and just be yourself. And but what the bell that rang the loudest when all of it was going on is I just didn't want to do it. I just don't want to do it, because if you think about it, I've dedicated most of my life, if not all of my life, to my craft, to tattooing. That's the only thing I've ever dedicated myself to for such a long period of time. Then to put your craft in something that you love so much and so dearly on a world stage to be criticized by the industry's top leaders is a lot. Yeah. It's a lot, dude. You're very vulnerable, and it's very scary, and even talking about it now, it's such a daunting feeling. But just like working out, generally something that you don't want to do, you should just knock it out first. You don't want to do lat pull downs, just knock it out first, get it out of the fucking way. Right? So I took that same theory into play and I said, fuck it, let's just do it. And I ended up on set. But my driving motive was do what you don't want to do, and then everything else is a bonus. So to be completely transparent and honest, the thought of having the title Ink Master didn't even strike my brain once. It was just like, not that I don't think that I'm capable of that, but it's just like, that's not my driving force. That's not going to drive me to be there. And as far as money, we talked about money earlier. Money doesn't buy happiness. And I understand that. That's a lot of money. That's sick. Money provides you with more flexibility and a little bit more freedom. But if you're sad inside, you're still going to be sad inside. So my driving force was to be honest with myself, to grow, and to just be happy. And it got me to top 5.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah, congrats on that.
Thank you.
It was cool seeing you on that. It was like hilarious too. You know, I told you this in the gym, but I need it to be on like audio forever. I did want to get tattooed by you before
I love that. You know what? Yeah, that is very true. That is very true.
Really. So one thing that I think is funny, I went to When We Were Young 2 years ago, and the All American Rejects came on.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, we know all of you made fun of us in high school, but now look at you all singing to our songs.
Damn.
And I was just like, man, he's right about all of that. So and I mean this in no disrespectful way, because like I listen to Good Charlotte all the time now. But when we were growing up, like Good Charlotte was kind of the band where like, oh, you're not punk, you're not any of this stuff. But now, like, I don't know the guy's name, but he was like Joel. He's like the host of this show, like that whole thing. You know, was that like kind of interesting to you at all, of just like, oh, I literally watched you growing up and maybe didn't care for you. I don't know how you felt about his music, but yeah, I'm just interested to know what that might have been like for you.
I mean, to be honest, I try not to think about what people do for a living. And I kind of just take them for what they present me as. And he's so fucking cool, bro.
Nice.
He's so cool and so humble. And if you met him at an airport and just happen to sit by him, like, you guys are going to chop it up and it's going to be a good conversation. He's never going to fucking cool guy you. You know what I mean? So I have nothing but great things to say about him. Yeah, he was just cool. And as far as his music, to be honest, I don't listen to it.
Yeah.
But would I hang out with him and grab dinner? Absolutely. Yeah. He's just a cool, nice dude.
Yeah. I love hearing that about those people
that
maybe we grew up looking up to or look up to now, and you just hear like that they're great people despite, I don't know, I guess that's kind of a skewed way to look at the world, that like success equals that some people might be jerks or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
What's that saying? It's just like money changes people. But I don't think there's another saying after that. It's money exposes people. It exposes how you truly are. Yeah. And I think that's pretty true too. He's just a cool dude. Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're right here at the end of the year. You're finished with your part of.
Yeah.
Can we not talk about that, but that's all right to say.
Yeah. We're done with that. Yeah.
You know, and you've already made some like drastic changes to kind of reach the next level, maybe of your career, of your personal life, of your relationship with your higher power, like that sort of thing. What's next for you here? I mean, as somebody that is constantly looking at growth, I sometimes get worried that there's no finish line for me. So am I ever going to be like satisfied? So I'd be interested as to what your perspective is on that.
I mean, I can only answer for myself. I think that there is no finish line. It's just a constant daily growth and constant progression that I am striving for. I mean, I don't think there's a finish line. I don't think there is an aha destination where like fucking made it, because then you're going to want more. Yeah. And you should. Yeah. Or because if you're not growing, you're dying. I'm going to say what I said when someone asked me this earlier, is just, I have the same goals and aspirations as I did in middle school. I want to get really nice waves, and I want to just tattoo and be a little better than yesterday. And that's it.
I love that, man. Hey, thank you so much for coming down and doing this interview with us. I loved hearing your story and loved getting to know you better.
Yeah.
The only time that we've really ever hung out besides this, we were hitting each other in the face. So
I know.
That's kind of weird.
I know.
But if somebody wants to connect with you, how can they find you?
Hit me up on my website, fill out a form, or shoot me an email.
What's the website and email?
brianblacktattoos@gmail.com. Actually, I don't fucking know.
I'll link it.
yeah, you gotta link it. Yeah,
I will link it.
Yeah,
Amazing, man. Well, thank you so much to the listener and the viewer. Thank you so much for your time and attention. We really appreciate it. If you loved the episode, we would dig a 5-star review. And if you didn't like it that much, feel free to stick it to us, but subscribe anyway, because we're going to have a ton of incredible people just like Bryan Black back on the show. Thanks again, man.
Hell yeah, thank you.